Welcome to The Brain Dump, where we study the psychology of success. Join us as we probe the habits, rituals, and routines of top-performing artists, entrepreneurs, authors, athletes, and more to uncover the timeless principles we can all use to take our lives to the next level. Are you ready to plunge the grunge that's been gunking up your mind's eye? Great, then let's get to it.
Guys, welcome to The Brain Dump. We got Anthony in the house. I'm here too, whatever.
The Big BD. Welcome to the Big BD.
So we've got, recording this, we've got about 44 in the bank. We've released about 35. And what me and Anthony are going to talk about is kind of our biggest takeaways from this little passion project that we started all of a sudden earlier this year. We've had some amazing conversations, some really, stretching my mind. I feel smarter. We just had one with Steven. That was amazing. So many great ones to pick from. We're not really highlighting an episode per se, but just more kind of, I'll start with you, kind of maybe some key takeaways that you think are super powerful from the recordings.
There's been a lot of really good conversations, but as I think about the year, there's really like 3 to 5 that jump out that I think about consistently and very frequently. And that's not to say that like all the other conversations were garbage. That's not the case. Every single one was amazing. Mm-hmm. And if you're listening to this at home and you haven't had a chance to go and listen to all the episodes, well, you're really missing out. There's each episode has its own little nugget of gold in there.
I'm not biased and I'm not trying to sell you shit. I have not been a part of this type of high level conversation ever in my life. Like I leave every episode thinking, man, I'm smarter for that episode.
Mm-hmm. But 3 concepts in particular I want to draw attention to that I think about a lot is the difference between doing your best and being the best, the idea of work-life balance versus work-life control.
I use that 17 times a week.
Do you?
Thank you.
Do you give proper accreditation?
Of course, every time. Perfect. Dude, it's been the thing that stuck with me the most.
Yeah, so we'll unpack that here in a second and maybe revisit that. But the third one is I would say the hallmark of the year for me, and it started in February, was the difference between selective vulnerability and authentic vulnerability, right? So the difference, I think the do your best versus being the best is a conversation we have with Julie, Holly, and Monica Ortho. I can't remember her last name.
Yes, sir. Mm-hmm.
Ortho, that was. And then the work-life control, I think, was just a conversation between you and I, and then the selective vulnerability has been an ongoing conversation throughout the year because it was a really pivotal moment for me. In February, I went to this workshop that my buddy Renee Rodriguez puts on called Amplify. And it was all about ostensibly becoming like a more influential public speaker. But to be able to do that, you have to connect with people, whether you're communicating one-on-one or to 1 on 1,000, right? And the way that you connect to people is through vulnerability. And that's the thing that I really struggled with was selective vulnerability being the thing where you use your weaknesses as a launching off point to get to the punchline of how great you are or the big success. So I was an alcoholic for 10 years and now look at me, how badass I am, right? Like that's not, that's how
I'll be honest with you. I'm really getting tired of telling my story. I'm really ready to move on. And I'm being dead serious. I go back and forth with this because I want to impact. I want to help, but I also don't want it to define me anymore either.
Yeah. And that's maybe another theme of the year is identity and how our identities are such a fluid thing, but yet we can become very locked into static identities from ourselves and saying, I used to be this thing and therefore that's who I still am. And also the difficulty that identity poses in our relationships because people get to know us as Austin the alcoholic or Anthony the rock climber, right? And then it's like, well, I'm not that thing anymore. Well, if everybody around you is still trying to hold you to that identity, it's very, very difficult for you to break out, especially when that identity is very negative, right? Like me as a rock climber, that's not really a negative one that anybody's like, it's not holding my life back. But if everybody around you is still thinking of you as an alcoholic when you're trying your damnedest not to be, you're like, I'm not an alcoholic. I'm something else now, then that becomes a real impediment to growth. So identity is another really big concept that's been, I think, a through line through all the episodes this year.
Yeah, and the first one I'd like to tackle is the work-life control, because I use it so much because, full disclosure, I think we've been sold a bill of goods. I think that bullshit, like, you need balance in your life and all that shit like that. Like, I'm about to go in November. I'm about to go to like crazy no balance to prove a point to everybody where, some of those days might be 16 hours, but the rest of the time is going to be in my total control. So in essence, Anthony, if I work 16 hours Monday through Wednesday and I don't have any meetings on Thursday, Friday, isn't that me controlling the schedule the way I see fit? I mean, that sounds more intriguing to me than trying to fit it all in.
Yeah, at its core, the term work-life balance is fundamentally flawed. I think if there's one episode, I think there's a lot of episodes to go back to and listen, but that one in particular, I think if you're at a place where you're really you're wrestling with all the things that highly successful peak performers, entrepreneurs, investors, they struggle with, which is how to get all the things into their life that they want to do, and trying to find like this magical Jenga-like moment where it all just kind of fits together. Well, I think that episode can really help you because it rephrases the conversation from one of there is no balance. There is none. Like, and so the pursuit of that is the wrong pursuit from the very beginning. And what you're really looking for is control, like the ability to do what you want, when you want, where you want. And when you have that, and you have the ability to create your schedule and how you want to, that's a very powerful thing, but it also comes with a lot of responsibility. And that's, I think, where a lot of people struggle is they don't accept responsibility. So two things might happen is one, they don't have work-life control. Like they work a W-2 and somebody else tells them where to be, how to be there, and like they show up and get their paycheck. So that's one thing. But the other part is people who do have control over their schedule, but now they're not owning how they're prioritizing everything. And they're like, oh, I wish I had more time for my family. I wish I had more time to this, or I wish I didn't feel bad putting so much time and energy into this. It's like, you get to make that choice.
I hate to keep bringing him up. God damn it, Hermosi.
Damn.
Alec, her boyfriend, he said that he really thinks that the number one trait that entrepreneurs need is discernment of priorities. And I agree with him. Like, because the list is never gonna, like, that's, I think, is the bigger, when you talk about work-life balance with controlling your schedule, is that they say, I'm going to network with people, but they don't put a time gap on it or a number. And then you could just do it forever. And that's why they're working till 11 o'clock at night, 10 o'clock at night, because we don't have anything. There's nothing to follow. There's nothing to say that we can turn it off. We can stop it. Like if you want to network with people, like say, I'm going to meet 3 new people a week. Okay, then you're done. If that happens Wednesday, then you're done. Like, boom, you're good.
He also said something else, which is, I think, super on point, which is people who say nobody's going to outwork me. You see this all the time on Instagram. I work harder than anybody else. Nobody's going to outwork me. I'm the hardest working motherfucker out there, right? You hear this all the time. And he's like, it's the stupidest thing. He's like, there are people in places in the world that are working far harder than you, doing way harder work for way longer. You're not outworking them. And that's the wrong metric anyways. It doesn't matter. He's like, I don't want to work harder. Like, who wants to work harder? That's not.
You know what the scary thing is? I was talking.
No.
Yeah, go ahead.
What he says is, he's like, I don't care how hard you work. He's like, my thing is nobody will out-sacrifice me. And that's the important takeaway here is when it comes to setting priorities. Priority is a bastardized word because really it means you can only have one priority. Priority is a singular thing that we say priorities. It's bastardized, first of all. But to his point of like discernment of prioritization is the ability to say, I am sacrificing all of these other things in pursuit of this one thing. And he's like, you will not out-sacrifice me. And that's much more useful than saying you're not going to outwork me because, fuck, dude, I'm going to outwork you. And somebody else is going to outwork me. Like, it's a stupid metric.
It doesn't mean anything. It's like, like, hey, we work hard. It's guaranteed. Get over
go
it.
dig a hole. Landscapers work real fucking hard. Like,
Dude,
I don't want to do that.
Dude, I used to lay brick. In Texas in July. Go do that. Yeah. Trust me, you'll wisen up real quick.
Have you ever been a roofer? I don't want to work harder. That's not noble.
Yeah, it doesn't
working
do
harder for the sake of working hard. Not saying roofing is not noble. I'm saying the pursuit of hard work isn't the right metric.
I agree. And so now I'm going to have you take on this one because I'm going to need you to refresh this one for me. This at your best or do your best. What was that one?
Well, this one is just an interesting conversation with Julie and Monica, where Julie points out that that we struggle a lot of times because in social media land or entrepreneurship or investing, we look over and we see other people succeeding and we're like, oh, I need to be doing more. And we're in this constant push and competitive pull with everybody else to be the best. But the best is this undefined term. Like, what's that actually even mean? And as long as you're pursuing undefined terms, you're never going to get them. And so the more meaningful metric there is not to focus on being the best, but focusing on doing your best. And that turns it into an internal locus where you can look at it objectively and say, am I doing this to the best of my ability? Yes or no? And that's really what matters at the day. Isn't how you stack up and rank against everybody else on the podium line. It matters how you stack up against your potential. And this is something that I talk about is chasing your capacity and this idea of your ideal self. And you're never going to catch that person, but the goal is to try and get as close as you can. And as you do that and you focus on doing your best rather than being the best, that's a game you can win and it's a game you can measure. Whereas the other one, you're always going to be seeking to try and fill the void inside with this externally laden achievement. Like, I won the gold medal and therefore I feel fulfilled now. Whereas if you can come over here and say my fulfillment is derived not through my achievements and how I stack up against other people, but as against who I am as an individual and me living up to my potential. And I found that to be a really powerful conversation.
Yeah, because I mean, I was talking to somebody yesterday, like there is no real competition out there. Like how is it even close to competition? It's not sports. Like
there's no scoreboard.
There's no scoreboard. And
we're not all playing by the same rules.
And said, let's just use an easy example. Said flipper and wholesaler that you're competing against or multifamily guy has different values, different teammates, different money, different market, different everything. So there is no competition. So the only competition is you looking in the mirror and saying, did I show up? Did I get 1% better today? Did I do what I said I was going to do? Did I show up for myself? Did I do what I needed to do to be happy? Like once you realize that, there's not really like, that's it.
Here's a really cool takeaway that I had from this year of conversations. And I can't point to a particular episode where this really started to formulate in my mind, but it was this idea that we generally, a lot of businesses, they have their code of ethics or their values and their statements and their mission and their goals and all that stuff. But a lot of times we as individuals don't have those things. We don't have the code of ethics by which we live. And that's a shame because our value systems and that code of ethics of like, that's really us deciding how we want to play this game and against what metrics we're going to measure our life's success or failure. And this is a psychology. It's all about this, or a podcast. It's about the psychology of success, where you get to define the success, but most people haven't first done that. So they say, I want more money, or I want more accolades, or I want a cool car, right? And so they say that's success. Whereas if you create your own code of values or ethics or rules that you're going to play this game of life by, you're like, I'm going to keep my promises. I'm going to show up every day. I'm going to do my best. I'm going to be present and I'm going to express love and gratitude. Like those are your 6 rules. Okay. Now we can measure and we can live against that. But the problem is nobody's bothered to chalk the field. Or a lot of people, not everybody. A lot of people haven't bothered to chalk the field and say, these are the rules by which I'm playing the game. And until you do that, you can't win the game.
No, because it's not like this shit is not that complicated. Like take care of yourself, drink water, eat well, move your body, smile, impact others, and learn every day. Like that's it. Like nothing more, nothing less. Like if you do that compounded over multiple years, I promise you that you will create whatever you want. There's no metric, no dollar is going to make you happy. You're not going to get to this point and go, now I'm going to start caring about myself. Like, you got to care about yourself in the beginning. The more I talk to people, the more I dive in, the more I coach people, like 90% of it is just getting out of our own fucking way. Like the way I'm in a coaching group right now, we're getting certified. The way that these people speak to themselves, holy shit, dude, it makes me feel really good. I'm like, you're saying that shit to yourself in your head? Oh my God. How do you even get out of bed in the morning? Like, but, you know, at some point, and this is my message to everybody, and I really hope it lands for them. At some point, you got to put down the fucking books. You got to put down the fucking podcast, and you got to go take action.
But not this podcast.
No, not this one. Please listen to this one. But what I'm saying is, I think that we almost become, you know, one of the bigger things that I've focused on right now is decision fatigue and information fatigue. I think that we can almost be inundated with so much information, so many things. Well, you know, what do they say, Anthony? I got to get a social media brand. Well, I got to be on TikTok, Pinterest, you know, podcast, YouTube. It's like, no, you could just be really good at one platform, you know, own your market there, own your time there. I just think it's almost too much these days.
I agree. I agree. At the end of the, I think Warren Buffett said, your life is really going to be the result of only 3 to 4 really big, important decisions. That's it. 3 to 4 really big decisions will define the outcome of your life.
Doesn't Naval talk about this when he says, like, nobody's paying attention to like how much weight it is, like where they live, who their partner is. Like, these are massive decisions that you spend every day in this environment with this person, and nobody's even focusing on these huge decisions.
I think it goes back to that prioritization aspect again. Something I've been really diving deep into in this last year is what it means to make better decisions and how to improve as a thinker in general, and try to focus on those areas where the decision is going to have the most impact and pull the biggest lever. Because I think a lot of times we waste a lot of our decision making capacity on just really stupid things that don't matter. Like, what do I want to eat? What do I want to wear? Where do I want to live? Like those things. I mean, maybe where you want to live is kind of an important one, but in the grand scheme of things, it's, you know. No,
I see you going with the white shirt. You're adopting the white shirt crew. You know, like you're just like, I'm wearing the white shirt. We're going to buy apartment complexes. I'm going to show up for podcasts. I'm not going to worry about this. Like, I think that your decision making is very on point.
Can I share something? No, sure. I'm sorry. I cut you off there, but I want to put a pin in this because I'm going to share something. Keep going. Finish your point.
No, I'm just saying, like, what I've seen, and we're talking about takeaways from the podcast, okay? From this 44 episodes. What I've seen is that you're more open than I've ever seen you towards people, towards opportunities, towards your communication skills are like 90, but you know, they're so much better. Like, so that's what I've seen from you. So that's my takeaway as your co-host. And it's been really cool to watch because I'm sitting here looking at you now from episode 1 or 2, and you know, you've grown so much. So like, that's my takeaway from this podcast as well too.
I appreciate that. What I was going to say is, this is totally tangential and it doesn't have anything to do with the show, but it kind of does. Is, you know, you're pointing out like I'm wearing a white shirt and t-shirt, and like typically I dress very simply. I wear a lot of black V-necks and a lot of t-shirts and polos, like not even polos a lot of time, but I wear a lot of jeans and sneakers and things like that. Right. And I'm going to do a psych experiment in the first quarter of 2021. And I'm really fascinated to see how it plays out. And it has everything to do with dress. And like, because I'm fascinated with the idea of influence and communication. And one of the ways that we show up is in our physical presence, right? So that's an experiment that I'm going to start playing in the first quarter of 2022. Is how can I show up differently? And I'm going to do it, and you'll notice it immediately. You're going to be like, oh wow. But I I have like some theses that I'm trying to measure against, and I have.
Well, I already know your theses are right. So
they might be, but I want to see it in real time.
So I read an article about the Beastie Boys. This was 2-3 years ago, and for 60 days straight, he wore a suit.
Yep.
And on that day, he didn't have a suit, and nobody would listen to him. Like he was trying to get them to work, like recording. Like, do I know exactly where you're headed? And I'm all for this because as soon as I get down to my ideal weight, I'm going to go get suits made, and I might just wear those for the foreseeable future.
Mm-hmm. Like, and my mind got. I mean, we all know that physical appearance matters and how you show up and like how people perceive you. Like,
how you feel,
I'm in pursuit of being the best communicator that I can be, right? Mm-hmm. And I can speak good, I can write good. Now it's like, okay, how can I show up as well with my body language in a way that communicates the intent as well? And so I'm like really interested to embark on this challenge because it's so foreign to me. It's so different and it's very uncomfortable to even like go down that rabbit hole of like, not even fashion, but like caring more about the outward appearance of what I'm projecting into the universe. Like it makes me very uncomfortable.
See guys, and I do this too, and I'm doing it currently in one of my businesses. What I like to do is I like to push the edges of where I can take myself. Maybe I do something that's totally out of ordinary just to kind of see where I'm at. And it's kind of like testing new parts of me, right? You're exploring. I'm curious, like how I'll show up in that situation or like in that moment. Like, that's why I love going to events. That's why I love going to like networking events, because I like to kind of like, I equate myself to having a good gear system, like a car. Like I can fucking drop it in fifth gear, but I can also reverse and I can fucking put it in neutral and I can go into 4-wheel drive. Like that's the way I view that you have to have different speeds for different environments.
Mm-hmm. And for like we talked about it earlier already in this episode is the identity question. And I think we need to be very conscious if we want to be our best selves, if we want to pursue growth, that we need to be really conscious about what identities we hold about ourselves that are so ingrained that we don't even acknowledge them anymore, that we don't even see it because it's just so ingrained. And I'll share for me is one of the biggest identities that I had for many, many years was I'm not a people person. I don't like people. And I tell myself that as a shield, as an excuse for not putting myself out there and going to events or having, heartfelt conversations with people. But it was all an identity that I held so closely, a self-limiting belief that I held so closely, I'd never even acknowledged it. And so, you guys will see this kind of playing out in the first quarter of 2022 as I go through, like, not a transformation, but as I step into different waters. And that's me trying to intentionally strip away closely held identities and saying, I don't know if that identity serves me. Let's test it. And I think if you're too afraid to test your identity, well, that's a really important place to start. And I'm glad that you're here listening to this podcast. Because I think that's a lot of what we're doing here when we talk about the psychology of success is not being afraid to change, to challenge the status quo of your life. And that's what I think ultimately is success for me, is like people who will thrive no matter what. But to be able to do that, you have to be very resilient. You have to have a lot of capacity for the discomfort of the unknown.
So I saw this morning. I don't know where I saw it, and I'm probably going to say it wrong. You probably already know. So there's this word. It's SISU. It's a Finnish word.
Sisu.
Yeah.
Sisu.
And it means stoic determination, hardness, courage, bravery, willpower, tenacity, and resilience.
You want to know how I know Sisu?
How do you know that?
One of the hardest rock climbs in the world is named Sisu.
Okay.
Because we like to name rocks and walls and lines, and this Finnish climber, his name is Nalle Hukkatevol. He climbed this Sisu. Yeah, it's an amazing word.
And and we'll do this on another episode, but that resiliency piece speaks to me so hard. Like I really think that, and I don't want to drag this on anymore, so I'm going to let it go, but just know that is like one of the traits for me that I'm comfortable with attaching that to my identity, because I believe that will get you through most things.
Oh, I mean, there are worse identities to have than to be resilient.
Agreed. Well, guys, these are our takeaways for two guys that started something just because we have an affiliation for this, and we're very passionate about this. Anybody that's listened or take their time to come on, or just take time out of their day to speak to us or listen to this, like I can't thank you enough. It means a lot to me. Never did I think 2 years ago that I would have one podcast, let alone two. So it's a big honor for me that you taking time out of your day to listen and share this with somebody. So, I just wanted to say that as this will be released at the end of the year, headed into the new year, and see what we create.
I agree. To everybody, I want you guys to know I love you all equally, but to the people who have gone and actually left a review or reached out to tell us like what they've enjoyed about the podcast this year, I want you to know that I love you the mostest. Mommy and Daddy love you all, but we
do. And by the way, guys, you never send those to Anthony. It's only me.
It's
and then I have
to. I think this is hilarious. Like nobody has ever reached out to me to say like your podcast is amazing, this has been life changing or anything. They always send it to Austin. So I don't know what that tells me, but it feels like it makes you the more accessible one. I don't know.
No comment. So guys, I hope you enjoyed this. Send it out to your friends, share us, rate us and review us, and we'll love you more. Talk to you later.
Thanks for joining us here at The Brain Dump. Now, before you go, it's important to solidify what you've learned here today by taking action. If all you do is listen, then you're only going to retain a small amount of the information you consumed here today. So take a quick moment to really lock in any key insights, tidbits, or pieces of wisdom that you want to carry with you into the future. You can do this by heading over to iTunes and leaving a review with your top 3 takeaways from this episode. If you've already left a review, first, thank you so much. Second, it's time to start a brain dump journal. It doesn't have to be fancy, just a slip of paper will do, where you can record a couple quick thoughts from each episode. Science shows this is one of the best ways to ensure long-term retention of new information. And finally, if you've got a brother, a sister, a coworker, or a best friend that you think would benefit from this episode, do them and us a favor and share with them this episode. Your support, as always, means the world to us.